snaps it in two. No. With Ronda Rousey's lackluster debut at the Royal Rumble, I sat back and I thought, you know what? I can book that better. So that gave birth to the newest segment on this channel, Fantasy Booker, where I book past, present and future events in WWE and show you how I could do it better. So, the debut of Ronda Rousey in the WWE. This is actually, I should rename it to not only the debut of Ronda Rousey, but the road to WrestleMania, because I believe that with a series of interlinking events all coming together in a smooth progression from the Royal Rumble right the way through to WrestleMania, you can not only debut Ronda Rousey, but also benefit the women's division on Raw and on SmackDown in many different ways. You've got to start before the Royal Rumble. You've got to lay the little bit of groundwork in order to set things in motion. And the first thing you've got to do is understand how you want to debut Ronda in the WWE. You've got to realise straight off the bat that she's not going to be able to produce a 5-star one-on-one match at WrestleMania. There's no way. Imagine Shayna Baszler and imagine someone even more greener than her, and that's probably what you're likely to see from Ronda Rousey from the beginning of her wrestling career. So with that in mind, you've got to scratch from the record one-on-one matches against Charlotte, against Asuka, basically any one-on-one match. So the end game with the debut of Ronda Rousey is to have a gimmick match that allows her to be protected in her first match for the company. The only person that fits the bill for her to face when she first comes in is Stephanie McMahon. No, wait, don't turn off yet, don't turn off. Hear me out just for a second. Now, the reason I've chosen Stephanie McMahon is really using the same model that the Vince McMahon Stone Cold feud, but replicating it for the women's division in this era of wrestling. Okay, it's not foolproof, but if you lay the groundwork and give enough stature to the heel character of Stephanie McMahon, the moment the Ronda Rousey face character comes in, you've immediately got a feud that you can kick off that protects not only Ronda Rousey, but elevates Stephanie McMahon as a major heel figure for her to butt heads against, certainly for the road to WrestleMania. So you need to establish the Stephanie McMahon heel character on screen. Now, at the moment, she's flitting between the standard authority heel character and also this kind of saviour of women's wrestling character. So you've got to remove the latter from that and just have her as that, what she's good at, that established heel character. So what I'd have her do is, before the Royal Rumble, is really get her back onto TV, really get that heel persona character running through the women's roster. Yes, okay, have her interact with others and with Kurt Angle, but really have her stick her nose into everything to do with women's wrestling, so that you kind of establish that link between Stephanie McMahon and the women's roster prior to the Rumble. I'd even go as far as also aligning some heel women's wrestlers with her. And my first suggestion for that is Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville from Absolution. With Absolution being in a bit of limbo with Paige's injury, I'd have those two offer their services for Stephanie for a price, and Stephanie kind of take that up and have them being used a little bit of muscle in the event of Stephanie getting threatened by anybody, or just have them be around Stephanie and be associated with Stephanie. So you kind of get that link between the hired help and Stephanie McMahon going into the Rumble. The Royal Rumble match. I'd have Stephanie McMahon on commentary, as you saw in real life, but I'll have her as more of a heel commentator rather than the kind of generic commentator that we saw at this year's Rumble. As for the Rumble itself, I'd have it play out exactly as we saw in real life, bar one exception. I'd take one of the Rumble spots, probably Vicky Guerrero's, and I'd shuffle everyone else down one so that Trish Stratus would come in at 29, and at number 30, I'd have Stephanie McMahon herself get up from the announcer's table and walk arrogantly into the ring. Once in the ring, I'd have her face off against everyone else that was left. Now, everyone else that was left will kind of back away from her as she's kind of barking orders at them and saying how she's a member of the active roster. Now, that's very important, and I'd have Michael Cole and the commentators also overemphasize the point that Stephanie is a former women's champion and she is still down as a member of the active roster. So, Stephanie's intimidating everyone on the ring. No one dares go up and face her except for one person, and that's Asuka. Asuka just walks straight up to Stephanie, kicks her in the head, and then dumps her straight over the ropes. Job done. Stephanie looks aghast. She looks really angry. Asuka just gives her one of those wicked smiles. The Royal Rumble match continues. Asuka wins. Now, picking the champion after the match. Again, I'd copy what we saw in real life. I'd have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte at ringside, and I'd have them come into the ring after the Rumble match is finished. I'd have Asuka in the ring with both of them about to choose which person she's going to face at WrestleMania. I'd have her go nose to nose with Alexa first, and then go nose to nose with Charlotte. Crucially, I'd have Asuka turn her back on Charlotte and walk away before making a decision. Now, at this point, I'd have Charlotte push Alexa Bliss into Asuka to provoke a reaction. Asuka turns round, she decks Alexa Bliss, she decks Charlotte, she picks up both women's championships, and instead of making a decision, she holds both belts aloft and leaves the ring. Fast forward to Raw the following night. It's billed as a big night because Asuka still has got to make a decision about who she's going to face at WrestleMania. The format of Raw, I'd have Asuka's decision go on last, so effectively the main event of the show will be who is she going to pick to face at WrestleMania. So at the start of the night, I'd have Charlotte arrive at the arena with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. And during the events of the night, I'd have all three of them interact with Stephanie, Kurt Angle and Alexa Bliss. And I'd really play off the McMahon sibling rivalry and have Shane and Stephanie goading each other about which side Asuka's going to pick. Really build up the fact that the decision she makes is going to be make or break for each of the brands, and it's really going to elevate the brand that Asuka chooses. Likewise, I'd have Alexa and Charlotte bickering and interacting about what happened the previous night and about which of them really doesn't want to face Asuka. We get to the main event of Raw. We have Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan and Charlotte come out. We have Alexa Bliss, Stephanie McMahon and Kurt Angle come out. Now they wait in the ring and Asuka is introduced. She walks out with both women's championships and makes her way to the ring. In the ring, she squares off again, face to face with Alexa Bliss, face to face with Charlotte. And there's a bit of to and fro between the general managers from SmackDown and Raw, and Stephanie also goes face to face with Asuka and in no uncertain terms tells her she must make the correct decision. Now that's key. It's the reading between the lines moment that she's really inferring that Asuka has to pick Raw, otherwise she'll face the consequences. Whilst all this is going on, the Titantron is also showing a replay of what happened at the Royal Rumble. It's showing a replay of Asuka winning and also what happened after the match. Asuka goes down the line again and it looks like she's going to pick Alexa Bliss. She turns around to make one final gesture to the crowd and catches sight of the Titantron. Now the Titantron has been playing a replay of Asuka's winning the Royal Rumble and what happened after the match the night before. As Asuka turns to gesture to the crowd, maybe to ask them which one should she choose, she sees the Titantron and she sees the moment where Charlotte pushed Alexa into her. Instantly she wheels around and goes nose to nose with Charlotte and picks her. Now this, of course, crowd erupts. Charlotte and Asuka, bit of a pushing match, get pulled apart. The place goes nuts. Whilst all this is going on, you've got a shot of Stephanie McMahon looking extremely angry, extremely pissed off that Asuka has chosen SmackDown over Raw. A nice shot of Shane getting in her face, maybe winding her up, just to really emphasise the point that Asuka has pissed off Stephanie by choosing SmackDown and choosing to face Charlotte. So the decision for WrestleMania has been made. Enter Ronda Rousey. Whilst all this is going on, the WWE can be hyping the appearance of Ronda Rousey for the second Raw after the Royal Rumble. She's on the show, she's a guest of the show, so I would have Kurt Angle escort her around the back. She gets to meet the superstars, she interacts with people, and importantly, she interacts a lot with the women's division. So you're kind of establishing her as a new face in the division, and she's also talking to all of the stars, including Asuka. That's very important, and she wishes Asuka good luck for her move from Raw to SmackDown. I'd also have her interact with Stephanie in a very simple manner, have them shake hands and do no hard feelings from what happened at WrestleMania a few years ago. But again, it establishes her and the animosity between the two characters and makes people remember what happened. Main event time. I'd have it advertised prior to the event, Asuka's last match on Raw, and I'd have Sasha Banks call her out to give the fans what they want to see, a 5-star match before Asuka moves over to SmackDown. So when it comes to the main event, I'd have Ronda Rousey either sat in the crowd with her entourage, or sat at ringside, or even at the announce table to watch the main event as a guest of Kurt Angle and Stephanie McMahon. Asuka and Sasha Banks have a standard 5-star match, however you want to do it, but towards the end, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville interfere and beat down on the weakened Asuka. Conspicuous by her absence is Sasha Banks and have her leave the ring. Now they're beating down at Asuka, and Stephanie McMahon walks down carrying a microphone, berating Asuka for turning her back on Raw and going to SmackDown. Asuka starts to get the upper hand over her two assailants. Enter Sasha Banks. Banks' statement, heel turn, she continues to beat down on Asuka with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. This heel turn will pay dividends in the other parts of the women's division, but for now she's joining Stephanie McMahon, she's joining Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, and she's beating down on Asuka. So this beatdown continues. It gets to the point where they attempt to do the steel chair ankle break angle that's been done before, with Stephanie McMahon still berating her, saying, right, if you're going to go to SmackDown, you're going to go there with a broken ankle, see how Shane likes that. At this point, Ronda Rousey gets up from ringside, jumps the railings, enters the ring, and stops the beatdown from happening. You could even have her lay out Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I wouldn't have her lay out Sasha Banks. I'd have Sasha Banks back off. And Ronda Rousey really gets in the face of Stephanie McMahon, and eventually she lays her out as well. Asuka's saved. The ending shot of Raw is Asuka and Ronda Rousey standing side by side at the top of the ramp with Stephanie McMahon looking on, really pissed off. The SmackDown after Raw that week, Asuka debuts, starts a feud with Charlotte, but again they promote the Ronda Rousey exchange with Stephanie McMahon, and things move along very smoothly. So fast forward again to Raw. Over the next couple of weeks, Stephanie tightens security. She says she doesn't want to see Ronda Rousey on the premises. This is where you start sowing the seed of the Stone Cold Vince McMahon style feud. I would have Ronda Rousey return the following week and promptly get arrested and ejected from ringside. Really stoke up the fact that Ronda Rousey is not a part of the roster and that Stephanie has had her arrested because she was assaulted last week. Allow that to simmer. I would allow that to simmer all the way up to the Elimination Chamber. I'd have the Elimination Chamber pan out exactly as it's panning out at the moment, with Alexa Bliss defending her title in that match against everyone except for Nia Jax. Again, I'd hold Nia Jax off for an eventual title match against Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I'd also promote the fact that Stephanie McMahon is going to address the Ronda Rousey situation, because again I'd have that simmering all the way through Raw, that she wants to draw a line under it and effectively bring that to a close. So I'd have Stephanie McMahon come out during the Elimination Chamber and demand to speak to Ronda Rousey. She says she's invited her here, she knows she's arrived, and she wants her to come out. Cue Kurt Angle's music. What? Kurt Angle walks out with Ronda Rousey and they come down to the ring. Stephanie's looking a bit confused. Kurt's got a big smile on his face. Ronda Rousey's got an even bigger smile on her face. So Kurt Angle addresses the situation, says that he is the general manager of Raw and he has stepped in to resolve the situation. He says on behalf of Ronda Rousey, she apologises for the assault on Stephanie McMahon. Cue the boos from the crowd. Stephanie looks pleased. But, and there's a big but, Kurt Angle said he's got one more thing to say. He has not only signed Ronda Rousey to a multi-million-dollar deal, but as part of that deal, she gets a match at WrestleMania. So the crowd goes wild again. And he said she has already picked her opponent and that opponent will be announced tonight here live. Kurt says he gave Ronda Rousey a list of all the active wrestlers on the women's roster. Remember the Royal Rumble? And Ronda Rousey has chosen her opponent from that list. Stephanie McMahon. Bang! Stephanie looks pissed, she looks perplexed, she can't understand what's going on. Ronda steps up, nose to nose, points at the WrestleMania sign. I'll let her point at something because she's good at pointing. She points at the WrestleMania sign, they leave the ring. Stephanie just looks flabbergasted, she looks scared, she doesn't know what to do. So the following night on Raw, I have Stephanie McMahon panicking, trying to get out of the match in any way possible. I'll have her consulting lawyers, agents in the back. I wouldn't bring Vince McMahon in, but potentially speak to him on the phone. And everyone is saying that the match was signed by Kurt Angle. Now that's important. It was endorsed by Kurt Angle and there is nothing she can do about it. Kurt's quite pleased with himself and he announces that the following week on Raw, Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon will sign a contract to face each other at WrestleMania. The next week on Raw, I have Stephanie a less panicked Stephanie, a more confident Stephanie. We don't really know what's going on, but it's all leading to this contract signing in the main event slot on Raw. So it's standard contract signing affair, tables in the ring. Kurt Angle comes out first, followed by Stephanie McMahon and then Ronda Rousey. They're all in the ring, the tension's building, they're about to sign the contract when it's time to play the game. Out walks Triple H. He's pissed, he's angry, he walks straight in the ring and gets nose to nose with Kurt Angle. He demands that Kurt Angle scrap the match. He demands that Ronda Rousey's contract is ripped up. He is just fuming. Kurt Angle stands his ground and says, no way, I'm not changing this. This is what's best for business. So Triple H gets in his face again and goads him into changing the match to a mixed tag match. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey. He references the Survivor Series debacle from last year when Triple H screwed Team Raw, screwed Kurt Angle to win the match. And he says, how about we go one-on-one one more time, but in a mixed tag match. Kurt Angle agrees, there's a big face-off, and we now have Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. So the match has been set, the mixed tag match. From now until WrestleMania, I'd have a series of pre-taped interviews with Ronda Rousey talking about her love of wrestling and what she's done in the UFC, much like they did with Brock Lesnar, in terms of that sit-down interview style where she's talking about her strength and what she can do, also weaving in her dislike for Stephanie McMahon. Whilst on Raw, I'd bring back Mercury and Noble and have them as effectively the protection unit for Stephanie. They go around with her wherever she goes to reinforce the fact that Stephanie is intimidated by Ronda Rousey. As part of the promotional activity, I'd also have an in-ring interview with someone like Corey Graves with Ronda Rousey for the following night on Raw. So during that interview segment, I'd have Triple H and Stephanie McMahon come out to face down Ronda Rousey. I'd also have Mercury and Noble there as well. This will then draw out Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle will come into the ring and it'll all kind of spill out, and it culminates with Triple H getting a sledgehammer from underneath the ring and dropping it on the back of Kurt Angle's surgically repaired neck. Ronda Rousey makes her exit from the ring. Kurt Angle is stretchered off. We don't know what's going to happen to him. As we go through the rest of the night on Raw, we find out that Kurt Angle's been taken to hospital and that he has been not cleared to wrestle going forward, and he won't be at WrestleMania. The final shot potentially could be a face-off between Triple H and Ronda Rousey, saying, bring your best, it's now 2-on-1. Following week on Raw, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon come out to gloat. They're saying that, yeah, they're quite happy to take the match now. It's 2-on-1. Ronda Rousey's not backing out of it. Let's see if she really is the baddest woman on the planet, because she's got to face Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Cue Ronda Rousey's music. Out she comes to accept the challenge. Looking a bit pissed off, but she's still wanting to face both of them at WrestleMania. There's a bit of to and froing. Then on the Titantron, we get a shot of Kurt Angle, either in a hospital bed or a neutral background, but he's there saying he may be injured, he may be out of the match at WrestleMania, but he's still the general manager of Raw. And whilst all this has been going on, Kurt has reached out to the locker room and found a suitable replacement for him to be Ronda Rousey's partner. Cue Braun. Braun Strowman walks out and the crowd goes nuts. He stomps to the ring. Triple H looks even more scared than he did before. Stephanie is just bricking it. Braun stands side by side with Ronda Rousey. Nothing more is said. So the mixed tag team match has now been changed. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Braun Strowman, Ronda Rousey. The reason why Braun Strowman has stepped up, again, is referencing Survivor Series when Triple H messed with him and he got pissed off. He hasn't forgotten that, and he's stepping up to effectively take his revenge. He's had enough of Triple H, he's had enough of Stephanie McMahon, and he wants revenge. Bang. So the road to WrestleMania for the next 4 weeks pans out as you would expect. I'd actually have Stephanie McMahon have an injunction against Ronda Rousey, meaning that Ronda can't touch her before WrestleMania. I'd have Strowman and Mercury and Noble interact with each other, keeping Strowman away from Triple H as far as possible leading up to the big night. I'd have the final Raw before WrestleMania with all four of them in the ring, possibly doing a contract signing or possibly as part of an angle. But crucially, Triple H tries to attack Strowman with a sledgehammer. Strowman takes the sledgehammer, snaps it in two, throws it to one side, and they all exit from the ring. It's really emphasising the fact that Triple H cannot deal with someone like Braun Strowman, and likewise Stephanie's run in scared from Ronda Rousey since January. Roll forward to WrestleMania. Mixed tag match. Ronda Rousey is protected because you have the marquee event of Triple H versus Braun Strowman. You can feed the crowd, feed the fans little tidbits of Stephanie versus Ronda until she gets the hot tag about 3/4 through the match. I'd have a ref bump in the match. You've got to have a ref bump. I'd have a ref bump and Noble and Mercury interfere. And at that point, I'd cue Kurt Angle's music and have him return, enter the ring, clean house of Mercury and Noble, and have a really nice spot where Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle put the ankle lock on each of them in the centre of the ring. Ultimately, I'd have Ronda Rousey get the win with a submission victory over Stephanie McMahon. Ronda Rousey getting the victory at WrestleMania in a match where she's protected, allows her to develop in the wrestling world without coming a cropper at WrestleMania. Strowman can either stay in the main event of Raw or move to the main event of SmackDown. Triple H can disappear again until he's needed once more. And have Stephanie continue to have a feud with Ronda Rousey going forward, throwing different competitors against her. You've got Sasha Banks, who is now heel, who can face Bayley and then move on to potentially facing Ronda in the future. You've got Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, and also re-emphasise the Absolution pairing. I'd also look at promoting Mickie James into a better position on the roster. And you've got a women's division that has been drastically changed and drastically improved ironically, by the arrival of Ronda Rousey. So, there's my ideas for the debut of Ronda Rousey and her road to WrestleMania. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe. And if you want me to do any other fantasy booking with anything from the past in WWE, anything for the future, or anything that's going on at the moment, please let me know, and I'll see you again soon. Oh, wow! You made it this far! Brilliant! Please like, subscribe, and check out my other cool videos. Until next time, bye!